Change doesn't begin when the world shifts, it begins when you decide to. Most people wait for a perfect moment to start, not realizing that the moment they choose to start is what makes it perfect. Before you change your environment, you must first shift your mindset, because the truth is, no matter where you go, no matter who you're around, or what opportunities come your way, you take yourself with you. You take your habits, your patterns, your fears, and your beliefs. If your mindset stays the same, then even in a new environment, you'll recreate the same struggles, just with different faces and different places. Real change doesn't start outside of you. It starts inside of you. Most people believe that if they could just change their surroundings, everything would fall into place. They think, if I get a better job, I'll be happier. If I move somewhere new, I'll be more confident. If I find new friends, I'll be more motivated. But what they don't realize is that the environment is only a mirror. It reflects what's already within you. A negative mindset will always find something to complain about. A fearful mindset will always find a reason to hesitate. And a defeated mindset will always see obstacles instead of opportunities. The power to change your life begins the moment you stop trying to fix what's around you and start working on what's within you. When your mindset grows stronger, everything else adjusts naturally. The same situations that used to break you start to build you. The same criticism that used to crush you starts to teach you. And the same challenges that once made you doubt yourself now become evidence of your growth. See, your environment can influence your thoughts, but it cannot define them. You define how you see, how you interpret, and how you respond. That's where the real transformation happens, not when you escape difficulty, but when you face it with a new perspective. A person with the right mindset can walk through chaos and still find calm, can face loss and still find lessons, can be surrounded by negativity and still choose growth. Mindset is not about ignoring reality, it's about deciding how you'll face it. When something goes wrong, you can either see it as a wall or a window. A wall keeps you trapped. A window lets you see possibility. The difference isn't in the situation, it's in your perception. Shifting your mindset means moving from reaction to reflection, from fear to curiosity, from judgment to understanding. It means asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? Before you try to change your environment, look at the way you think. Do you speak to yourself with encouragement or with criticism? Do you view challenges as threats or as opportunities to evolve? Because the voice you listen to the most is your own. If your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, your outer world will always feel limiting. But if your inner world is strong, no environment can hold you back. Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same situation. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One gives up, the other grows up. The difference is never the environment, it's always the mindset. Your thinking shapes your response shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results. That's how internal change creates external transformation. When you shift your mindset, you no longer chase change, you attract it. Because now your decisions come from clarity, not confusion. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating them. You no longer wait for motivation to appear, you become the source of it. This is where true power lies, in understanding that you are not a product of your environment, but a reflection of your mindset. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you interpret it. That's where growth begins. When you focus on changing your perspective, the world around you begins to change with it. People respond differently. Opportunities appear that were always there, but now you can finally see them. Problems that felt impossible start to shrink because you've grown stronger. That's the quiet power of an elevated mindset. It shifts your reality without forcing anything external to move first. It's easy to want quick change. It's easy to think that moving away from what's hard will make life better. But if your thoughts stay the same, you'll carry the same limitations everywhere you go. The goal isn't to escape, the goal is to evolve. When you evolve internally, even familiar environments start to look different. You begin to respond with patience instead of frustration, understanding instead of anger, confidence instead of fear. That's what real change feels like. Not loud, not sudden, but steady and lasting. Every time you catch yourself blaming your environment, pause and ask, what is this trying to teach me? That question alone shifts your mindset from powerless to powerful, because it reminds you that growth is your responsibility. The moment you stop waiting for things around you to improve and start improving yourself, your environment starts to follow. That's not magic, that's alignment. Your environment can inspire change, but it cannot sustain it, only your mindset can. You can move to a new place, get a new job, find new people, But eventually, your thoughts will rebuild your old reality unless you change them. Your habits will follow your thinking, and your life will follow your habits. The longer you delay working on your mindset, the longer you stay stuck in cycles that repeat with new faces and new names. So before you try to fix your surroundings, fix your focus, shift from complaining to creating, from reacting to reflecting, from waiting for the perfect moment to realizing this moment is perfect enough to start. Change your thoughts, and you'll change your emotions. Change your emotions, and you'll change your actions. Change your actions, and you'll change your life. You don't need to have the perfect environment to grow. You just need the right mindset to make growth possible anywhere. Because the right mindset turns obstacles into lessons, delays into direction, and struggle into strength. The environment will always catch up to the energy you carry. The shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens every time you choose awareness over avoidance, responsibility over excuses, and patience over panic. Bit by bit, your inner world strengthens, and suddenly, what used to overwhelm you starts to empower you. So remember this: you can change jobs, friends, cities, or circumstances, but if your mindset remains unchanged, you'll end up in the same place emotionally, no matter where you go. The first step to changing your life isn't walking away from something. It's looking within yourself and deciding, I will think differently now. That's where real change begins, not in your environment, but in your mind. Real transformation happens in small, repeated actions. It doesn't come from one big breakthrough, one perfect day, or one sudden burst of motivation. It's the result of showing up over and over again, even when it's boring, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. The truth is, success is never built in moments of excitement. It's built in moments of consistency. It's easy to make promises when you're inspired, but transformation begins when you keep those promises on the days you don't feel like it. We live in a world that celebrates fast results and dramatic change. Everyone wants to go from 0 to 100 overnight. But the people who truly evolve, who actually change their lives, understand that progress is quiet. It happens behind the scenes. It happens when no one is watching, when you repeat the same small disciplines until they become part of who you are. The person who goes to the gym once isn't transformed, but the one who goes every day, even when tired, begins to see their identity shift. The change is slow, almost invisible at first, but eventually undeniable. The problem is, most people give up before they get there. They mistake repetition for stagnation. They think, I've been doing this for weeks and nothing's changing. But real transformation doesn't announce itself. It builds silently. Growth takes time because your mind, body, and habits are learning to work in new ways. You can't rush that process. You can only trust it. Small actions may not feel powerful, but they compound. One day of effort seems insignificant, but 100 days of effort reshape your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every small choice adds up. What you eat, how you speak to yourself, how you use your time, how you respond to setbacks. Each one may feel minor in isolation, but together they define your future. Consistency is what separates those who wish from those who win. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't act on it repeatedly, it won't change anything. The gap between knowing and becoming is filled with repetition. Repetition teaches your brain to believe. It turns effort into instinct. What once felt forced eventually becomes natural. The beauty of small, repeated actions is that they build momentum. Every time you show up, you make it easier to show up again. Habits start to carry their own weight. What was once discipline turns into rhythm. The hardest part of transformation is not the effort itself. It's staying patient while the results are invisible. Because in that invisible stage, your consistency is being tested. Your character is being built. Think about the ocean. A single wave doesn't shape the shore, but thousands of waves over time can carve through rock. That's the power of repetition. Real change doesn't happen because of intensity. It happens because of persistence. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to keep showing up imperfectly until it starts to work. Transformation is never about doing more. It's about doing what matters most, again and again. You may not see progress right away, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Just because the seed hasn't sprouted doesn't mean it's not growing. It's just growing underground, developing roots strong enough to sustain its future growth. That's how real transformation works. You can't always see it, but it's happening beneath the surface. Small actions repeated daily are the foundation of every great success story. Every writer starts with one page. Every athlete starts with one workout. Every speaker starts with one speech. What matters most is not how perfectly you start, but how consistently you continue, because small progress sustained over time becomes unstoppable progress. When you rely only on motivation, you'll fail. Motivation is emotional, it comes and goes. But small, consistent actions don't depend on how you feel, they depend on your commitment. You'll have days where you don't want to try, where nothing seems to move forward. That's exactly when your actions matter most. Each time you push through resistance, you strengthen your resilience. Each time you repeat an action, you reinforce your identity as someone who doesn't quit. Transformation isn't about grand gestures, it's about micro decisions. Every morning you wake up and choose effort instead of excuses, growth instead of comfort. You're training your mind to align with your goals. That's what real change looks like. Not dramatic, not instant, but deliberate and repeated. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to act. You just need to start, and then start again tomorrow and again the day after that. Over time, these small actions become part of your story. The late nights, the quiet mornings, the unseen effort, that's what shapes you. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Because transformation isn't about proving something to the world, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about becoming the person who does what they say they'll do, even when no one's watching. Consistency teaches you patience. It teaches you to trust the process instead of rushing the outcome. The truth is, if transformation came quickly, you wouldn't value it. What makes it meaningful is the persistence it takes to achieve it. Each small step builds not just progress, but pride, the quiet kind that comes from knowing you didn't give up. Every small action matters. Every effort counts. The results you see today are the product of the choices you made months or even years ago. That's why it's so important to stay faithful to your process, even when it feels slow, because one day it won't just be effort anymore. It will be evidence. Evidence that your small, repeated actions worked. Change isn't about intensity, it's about endurance. You don't need to do everything at once. Just focus on doing one thing well and keep doing it. That's how confidence grows. That's how habits solidify. That's how transformation becomes permanent. So keep going. Keep repeating those small actions even when they feel insignificant. Because one day you'll look back and realize those moments weren't small at all. They were the building blocks of your new life. Every repetition was a quiet declaration that you were serious about your growth. And that's what real transformation is. Not an explosion of change, but the steady, patient rhythm of effort that finally turns into something extraordinary. Owning your mistakes fuels your growth. It's one of the hardest truths to accept, but also one of the most liberating. Most people spend their lives running from their mistakes, hiding them, excusing them, or blaming someone else for them. But here's what they don't realize. The moment you take full responsibility for your actions, you reclaim your power. When you deny your mistakes, you hand that power away. You trap yourself in the same patterns, repeating the same lessons life keeps trying to teach you. But when you own them, when you look your errors in the eye and say, that was on me, that's when real growth begins. Mistakes are not failures, they're feedback. They reveal where you still need to grow, what you still need to learn, and which areas of your mindset need to evolve. But to receive that feedback, you have to face it honestly. Growth doesn't come from perfection, it comes from reflection. When you own your mistakes, you stop pretending you're flawless, and that's when authenticity starts. You can't improve what you refuse to acknowledge. The person who hides their flaws stays stuck. The one who confronts them transforms. Taking ownership doesn't mean punishing yourself or drowning in guilt. It means accepting that your choices have consequences and that those consequences are lessons, not life sentences. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone learns from them. What separates those who grow from those who don't is accountability. Accountability is the bridge between failure and progress. When you own your mistakes, you shift your focus from who's to blame to what can I do better next time? That single question can change your entire trajectory. When you blame others, you delay your growth. You keep your power outside of yourself. You tell your mind, I can't change because this isn't my fault. But when you take ownership, you tell yourself, I caused it. I can correct it. If I created it, I can change it. That's strength. That's maturity. That's emotional intelligence in action. It's not about being perfect. It's about being responsible enough to evolve. Growth thrives in honesty. The more real you are with yourself, the faster you grow. Denial protects your ego but destroys your progress. Admitting your mistakes doesn't make you weak. It makes you self-aware. People who never own their mistakes stay trapped in cycles of frustration, repeating the same outcomes, wondering why nothing ever changes. But people who own them break those cycles because they learn what to do differently next time. Every mistake becomes a teacher if you're humble enough to listen. The truth is, no one grows in comfort. Growth comes through discomfort, and few things are more uncomfortable than admitting you were wrong. But that discomfort is where strength is built. The moment you stop defending your mistakes and start dissecting them, you begin to grow wiser, calmer, and more grounded. Every mistake contains a seed of understanding, but you only find it when you stop making excuses and start asking questions. What went wrong? Why did I react that way? What belief led me to that decision? The answers to those questions build awareness, and awareness builds growth. When you own your mistakes, you also earn respect. People trust those who can admit they were wrong and take steps to make it right. It shows integrity, not weakness. It shows you value truth over image, progress over pride. In leadership, relationships, and personal development, accountability builds credibility. When people see that you take responsibility instead of shifting blame, they know your growth is real. Owning your mistakes also changes how you see failure. You start realizing that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Every successful person you admire has a trail of mistakes behind them. The difference is they use those mistakes as lessons, not excuses. They learned faster because they were willing to face their errors instead of avoiding them. You can only fix what you're willing to face. When you take ownership, you transform mistakes from roadblocks into stepping stones. It's easy to say, it wasn't my fault, because it protects your ego. But it also keeps you powerless. Growth happens when you stop protecting your ego and start protecting your potential. Every time you own a mistake, you reinforce your control over your life. You start seeing setbacks not as proof of failure, but as part of learning. You stop fearing mistakes because you know they can't define you. They can only refine you. The people who grow the most aren't the ones who avoid mistakes. They're the ones who learn the fastest from them. And learning happens through ownership. When you say, I messed up, and then ask, what can I do differently? You shift from guilt to growth. That shift changes everything. It turns pain into purpose and regret into wisdom. Mistakes are inevitable, but growth is optional. The difference lies in how you respond. If you deny your mistakes, you repeat them. If you own them, you rise above them. Ownership gives you direction. It helps you see clearly what needs to change. Without ownership, you stay lost in blame. With it, you find your power again. Sometimes, owning a mistake means apologizing. Sometimes it means adjusting your habits. Sometimes it means forgiving yourself. Self-forgiveness is an essential part of ownership because you can't grow if you're stuck in shame. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be honest. When you forgive yourself for a mistake, you don't erase accountability, you reinforce it. You're saying, I accept that I did wrong, and I'm choosing to grow from it. That mindset builds emotional resilience and humility, two qualities that every great person carries. Life doesn't demand perfection. It demands awareness, and awareness only comes through reflection and ownership. Every mistake is a mirror showing you what to improve. When you ignore it, you stay blind to your potential. When you face it, you unlock the next level of your growth. So when you mess up, and you will, don't blame, don't justify, pause, reflect, take responsibility. Learn the lesson, then move forward with more wisdom and strength than before. Each time you do that, you become better, not bitter. You grow more patient, more self-aware, and more confident in your ability to handle life. Owning your mistakes is not about looking back with regret. It's about looking forward with understanding. You can't rewrite the past, but you can reshape the future by learning from it. Every mistake you take responsibility for becomes a stepping stone toward your next breakthrough. Growth doesn't come from pretending you have it all together. It comes from being brave enough to admit when you don't, and wise enough to grow from it. And that discomfort is a sign you're evolving, not failing. The moment you start growing, you will feel uneasy. You'll question yourself, doubt your decisions, and sometimes feel lost. That's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're breaking away from what's familiar. Growth and comfort cannot exist together. The same walls that used to protect you now start to feel like cages. When life begins to stretch you, it's not punishment, it's progress. Discomfort is the body's and mind's way of signaling that you're entering new territory. It's your old self trying to hold on while your new self is fighting to emerge. Most people run away from that feeling because they mistake it for failure. They think, if I'm uncomfortable, I must be doing something wrong. But in reality, that's the exact moment you're doing something right. The hardest part of growth is not the new path itself. It's saying goodbye to the old version of you that can't continue with you. When you decide to change your habits, your mindset, or your lifestyle, your brain resists. It craves predictability. It wants routine, even if that routine is unhealthy. So when you introduce something new, a new boundary, a new goal, a new standard, your mind sounds alarms. It says, this feels strange. This must be wrong. But it's not wrong. It's unfamiliar. And unfamiliarity always feels uncomfortable. That's how evolution begins, by choosing progress over the comfort of repetition. Think about the process of building muscle. You lift weights and your muscles tear, it hurts. You feel sore. But that pain isn't a sign of damage, it's a sign of development. The fibers are rebuilding themselves stronger than before. The same principle applies to emotional, mental, and spiritual growth. When you feel discomfort while learning, healing, or changing, it's because the old structure is breaking down to make room for a stronger one. Discomfort means you're expanding. It means your limits are being tested and stretched. You're learning how to stand in uncertainty without losing your balance. That's not failure, that's transformation. Every step toward the next version of yourself requires shedding parts of the old one, and shedding is never painless. You'll feel resistance, you'll feel doubt, you'll even feel moments of fear. But those feelings are proof that you're alive, aware, and actively evolving. Too many people misinterpret discomfort as a reason to quit. They think, if this feels hard, maybe it's not meant for me. But growth has never been comfortable for anyone. Every person who's ever achieved something great has gone through moments of questioning, fear, and discomfort. The difference is they kept going. They understood that discomfort is not a wall, it's a doorway. And the only way out is through. You can't evolve while holding on to comfort. Comfort wants predictability. Growth requires uncertainty. Comfort seeks approval. Growth invites criticism. Comfort avoids pain. Growth uses pain as fuel. You can't have both at the same time. When you feel discomfort, you're standing in the middle, between who you were and who you're becoming. It's that in between space that feels like failure, but it's actually the bridge to your next level. Think about the butterfly. Before it becomes something beautiful, it has to go through complete isolation inside a cocoon. That stage looks like nothing's happening. In fact, it looks like destruction. But inside, transformation is happening at a cellular level. The discomfort inside the cocoon is what prepares the butterfly for flight. Your discomfort works the same way. You're not falling apart, you're being reshaped. When you try something new, a career shift, a new habit, or a mindset change, the first few steps will feel awkward. You'll make mistakes, stumble, and second guess yourself. That's natural. It's not failure, it's feedback. Discomfort is your brain's way of saying, this is different. And every time you push through that feeling instead of running from it, you train your mind to adapt. That's how confidence is built, not by avoiding discomfort, but by facing it until it no longer controls you. Discomfort is growth in disguise. It's life testing how badly you want what you say you want. Anyone can dream of change, but few are willing to endure the process that change requires. The process isn't glamorous. It's messy, confusing, and full of moments where nothing seems to be working. But that's the phase where growth happens quietly. You don't see the results yet because they're forming inside you, in your discipline, in your resilience, in your patience. Every time you stay committed through discomfort, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your circumstances. You stop running from challenges and start walking through them. You realize that fear doesn't mean stop, it means step forward with awareness. The more you practice this, the more your capacity expands. What once felt impossible becomes normal. What once made you panic becomes manageable. That's what evolution looks like, not sudden transformation, but gradual strengthening. You'll know you're evolving when what used to trigger you no longer controls you. When what used to scare you now challenges you. When what used to break you now teaches you. But getting there requires sitting in discomfort long enough to let it shape you. You can't skip that phase. You have to live through it, breathe through it, and trust that it's serving a purpose bigger than your current understanding. The truth is, discomfort is a teacher, a brutal but honest one. It reveals your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It exposes your fears so you can face them. It tests your patience so you can grow it. The lessons you gain from discomfort are the ones that build depth, wisdom, and character. Easy experiences don't teach you much. Uncomfortable ones redefine you. When you feel that internal tension, that pull between wanting to grow and wanting to quit, remember, that's the edge of evolution. You're being stretched into someone stronger. The discomfort you feel is proof that you're not stuck anymore. You're moving forward. Every great change starts with a period of confusion, resistance, and doubt. That's not failure. That's the universe reshaping you for what's next. So the next time you feel discomfort, don't run from it.